はい、こんにちは、みやもんです。じゃあもうちょっと、おそらくこれが最終回で、最終回になるであろう。ちょっともう引き返せませんみたいなとこまで来たので、続きやっていきたいと思います。
I am pleased to inform you that we have arrived at the labyrinth. Please be advised that the punishment for trespassing is execution. Please be advised that electrical storms on the surface of Tartarus make departure impossible at this time. Oh, speak of the devil. Captain, I am receiving a transmission from the prison's docking authority now.
Attention, unauthorized spacecraft. This is a maximum security installation. Your presence here is an explicit violation of UDL corporate policy. You are hereby confined to your docking platform until a ticket detailing your crimes has been filed and notarized, at which point your vessel will be seized and you will be executed. I'm sorry, you people? Did you just cast a generalization on upstanding UDL employees? That's a fine of 200 bits. You're up to 5,708, not including the cost of your execution and the disposal of your remains, which will be assessed posthumously. All right, I'm feeling generous. I'm transmitting the ID of a productive, law-abiding employee so you can see what one looks like before you die. Anyway, Tartarus Docking Authority signing up. Hang on. Another ship just pulled into your dock. Wait, is that from the groundbreaker? What the? Pay no mind.
Transmission terminated. Biometric ID received. Transferring data to... How can I be of assistance? See you soon, Captain.
はい、行きましょう。
Right by us once. Now, the board will never own groundbreaker. Not while I breathe. Push on, Margot.
めちゃくちゃやり合ってるけど大丈夫なのこれ。
Assessment. The labyrinth on Tartarus. Task classification. Easy peasy.
They say nobody's ever broken out of the labyrinth. Didn't say nothing about breaking in, though.
Would you like Sam to tidy up this area? Waiting for confirmation command. Confirmation command not received.
今のうちに3回チェック、なんか乗り越えるってやつやっとくか。OK。まず1回目。
Are you new here? Yes.
と2回騙し通せたら確かトロフィーがもらえるはず。これ動いたらゲージが減っていくから、まずちょっと無理やりゲージをちょっと消費させます。ラストミッションでこんなトロフィー関係のやつやっていくスタイルな。はい。
Hold it. Hey, keep your...
こいつでやろうか。あ、こいつでもいいな。
Hold on. I don't... You are? I mean, I'll get out of...
オッケー。じゃあ行こう。これなんなんやろ。げえな。
Area filth level assessment. Disgusting!
しっかり消そう。消そう
Get
や
in there,
け
troops.
ど、
For Monarch.
バレる
For
な。
Halcyon.
Are you new here?
魂。
Well, look who it is. I'll be damned. I was prepping the studio for our... And I see you brought the kid along. Babysitters maybe...
Yeah, keep talking, pal. I'll just...
And... Oh,
Interactive database updated. The unique organic substance labeled...
when you go off and get yourself shot, try to... My word. It's a wonder what...
You, ain't feeling jittery, are you? 'Cause I'm not.
Difficult job ahead? Consider equipping a pack of Sam's special solvent stain-out remover. It's real...
Captain, you have an uncanny talent for... I don't like being played. When you delivered Wells into my... You've disrupted the balance of power. Typical. Running your mouth in the middle of a... My reports described you as one of Halcyon's strongest people. I should have dealt with you a long time ago. You were always too... Leaving you alive was my greatest mistake. I have Dr. Wells in my custody. Once I've secured his cooperation... I'm aware of your propensity for violence. Halcyon is a bloodier place because... I wish you'd simply cooperated with me. You're the finest... If you... This prison is equipped with an automechanical warden. I've had it programmed to eliminate... And don't worry. I will...
わあれは敵なんかな。敵やんな。プログラムしておいたっつって。
You want some of this?
Object is tuned to be specialist.
ちょっとあ、これやばいな。 よしよし。バリ弱い人間。
You don't know how glad I am to see you. You did the right thing. Akande was a monster. Her death was much deserved. And you lunatic, you broke into the board's own fortress just to rescue one... I know, my friend, I know. And now it's finally over. The board's finished. It's only a matter of time before... You've broken the board's stranglehold on this colony, and you saved my life. But there's still so much... You and I are going to have to work harder than ever to save Halcyon. I'm afraid the situation is far worse than any of us ever... I would like nothing more than to... Earth has gone dark. We haven't received a... 2 years ago, the Earth's Directorate's frigate disappeared on their way back to Earth.
Hold on, Doc. Are you telling me the Earth went dark 3 years ago? And the board's just been covering
年
this
前
up?
に地球消えたらしいで。
They've been incredibly effective at
それをずっと
concealing the
隠してたみたい、
truth.
評議
Right
会
now,
は。
the only people in the colony who... We're in serious trouble, my friend. Do you know what this means for Halcyon? We can't rely... Yes, we do. You've done a marvelous... We must begin the revival process immediately. Starting... We're going to need a leader. And I can't imagine a... I can't tell you... When I revive... We can't save Halcyon on our own. We are not a colony anymore. Our last connect...
The OSI teaches that
あ、もう全クリアな、やっぱり。
everything in the universe happens according to the grand plan. But the stranger that arrived in Halcyon was an unplanned variable. From the moment he landed in Emerald Vale, his actions altered the course of history. The events on Tartarus brought about the end of the board's authority. But the board's mistakes would haunt the colony for decades to come. The damage they left behind would require the work of a generation to repair. Dr. Phineas Wells began reviving a handful of the Hope's colonists. Engineers, scientists, technicians, and intellectuals. They were among the brightest minds the Earth had ever sent out into the stars. The Hope scientists and engineers woke up in a colony descending headlong into total collapse. With no way to return to Earth, they had no choice but to band together and devote themselves to the cause of saving Halcyon. The people of Halcyon were nothing if not hardy. In the absence of the board's authority, many of the colony's settlements banded together with a single purpose in mind: survival. Life was especially hard in the years to come. Some towns dissolved by attrition and starvation, but most of them found a way to carry on. In the years to come, Halcyon was forced to reckon with its newfound freedom. The board was gone, and for better or worse, the colony was responsible for its own destiny. As the colony struggled to survive, the inspirational story of the iconoclasts spread like wildfire, and Graham was able to bring many of the smaller Terra-2 townships into the fold. However, his zealous obsession with spreading the word blinded him to the needs of a growing organization, and the movement was unsustainable at scale. The iconoclast way seemed to work best, and ultimately petered out on Monarch. Consumed by paranoia, Lilia Hagen took sublight salvage in a controversial direction, openly accusing board officials of an extraterrestrial conspiracy. One day, an accident at the Groundbreaker's docking bay silenced her forever. Time would tell if her replacement could keep the sublight family together. After returning to Edgewater, the deserters negotiated workplace reforms with Reed Thompson, including a single day of rest, which came to be known as a weekend. As the world around him changed, Thompson found himself pining for the old days. He was known to spend his weekends in the cantina, nursing one of the few remaining bottles of Zero-G, and repeating to himself, "It's not the best choice, it's Spacer's choice." As for Adelaide McDevitt, she tended to her garden in solitude for another year before passing away. Her body was discovered some months later when Reed Thompson paid her a visit in an effort to make amends. Her remains were buried in a place of honor underneath the floor of the Edgewater cannery. Reed believed this was what she always wanted. Under the leadership of Junlei Tennyson, the Groundbreaker held firm against corporate influence. The ship's mechanical stability gave Junlei the time to educate a promising generation of engineers schooled in her family's traditions. The future of the Groundbreaker looks promising. The rediscovery of the Hope and the abandonment of the lifetime employment program forced Byzantium to come to terms with some uncomfortable realities about the state of Halcyon. While Byzantines were reluctant to surrender the luxuries they'd grown accustomed to, the board's diminished authority gave them little choice in the matter. Nearly everyone had to learn to make do with less. Some even had to get jobs. It was a dark time indeed. Ellie savored her adventures on the Unreliable. Once they were done, she returned to life as usual, running missions of dubious legality, shunning respectable work, and living life to the fullest. She meant to reach out to her one-time captain, but she was always bad at keeping in touch. Life in Halcyon was sobering for Felix Millstone. The grand revolution he dreamed of never came. There was no great awakening for the colony, no celebrations in the streets. There was only the hard, desperate work of trying to repair a broken colony. Felix never had a head for numbers, but if there was labor to be done, he was there to help. Eventually, Felix realized that the work of a revolution was done with two hands. After all he'd seen and heard adventuring with you, the vicar Maximilian de Soto renounced his faith and joined the effort to rebuild the colony. Ironically, he finally found the joy that had eluded him over the course of his life, and realized that perhaps he was always meant to be just a simple laborer after all. He quickly dismissed the idea. Once the matter with the Hope colonists was resolved, Junlei bashfully asked Parvati if she'd like to join her permanently on the Groundbreaker, and Parvati enthusiastically, if somewhat awkwardly, agreed. The stories of her adventures spread across the colony, and Parvati soon found herself the center of attention. Having served as the engineer of a renowned spacecraft, tramp freighters and wildcat miners sought her out by name, and in no time, she was a fixture in the Groundbreaker's mechanical ecosystem. She and Junlei were never far apart. Nyoka returned to Monarch to take another crack at making a permanent life for herself. She formed the Charon Group, a mercenary outfit of ragtag survivalists and wilderness experts. Anyone in need of a guide or just looking to throw back a beer and swap stories could find her camping on the trail or clearing an infestation. The SAM unit that accompanied you spread awareness of the product line's superior sanitation and maintenance capabilities across what was left of the colony. This led to a boost in SAM unit sales. Did you know that SAM units are the longest-lasting, toughest-acting cleaning solution in Halcyon? Minister Clark was released from house arrest, and his contact with you gave him a sense of renewed purpose and vigor. Once it became clear that no help would be coming from Earth, he threw his considerable efforts and talents into helping Halcyon manage the crisis before it. As for Dr. Phineas Wells, he spent his remaining years in his orbital lab. Though he was always haunted by the failures of his past, he was determined to make things right by building toward the future. Dr. Wells was able to revive many more scientists and engineers than he first expected, thanks to the additional batch of chemicals you stole from the Ministry. Wells never forgot about the human lives that were lost in acquiring these chemicals. The revival project was hard and painful work, but in the end, despite limited resources, over half the Hope's colonists were successfully revived. Even after Wells passed away, the Hope scientists and engineers worked night and day to pull Halcyon from the brink of collapse. Their efforts continue to this day, which may be reason enough for optimism. Dr. Wells laid the groundwork for the project to save the colony, but he would never live to see the fruits of his labor. He passed away a few years later. His work was carried on by the scientists and engineers he revived. Life will never be the same in Halcyon. It is widely agreed that the colony has a chance of stabilizing within a generation, owing to the hard work and determination of the surviving colonists. Recovery is a distant goal, and the path is long and uncertain. But the people of Halcyon carry on, determined as ever. And what about you, the unplanned variable in the history of Halcyon? Long after Wells passed away, you carried on his work with more energy, determination, and brilliance than he could ever muster. The years that followed were hard, but Halcyon survived by the efforts of the Hope's most promising colonists, the greatest of which was you. No one knows what's happened to Earth, and no one knows what the future has in store for Halcyon. All we know for certain is this: the name of the Unreliable and that of its intrepid captain will remain the subject of countless stories for years to come.
はい、最後終わりました。お、いきなりタイトル戻んねやこれマジかよこれ。これでまあ一通りザ・アウターワールド終わりました。また次何か新作ゲームとかやりたいゲームがあればまたちょっと動画投稿していきたいと思います。それじゃあありがとうございました。